All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Woodstock's public planning meeting for May 12th, 2025. Tonight's meeting is an open public meeting as required by the Planning Act. This meeting will be live streamed to the city's YouTube channel, and a recording of the meeting will also be posted on the city's website following the meeting. An agenda of the meeting can be found on the Agendas, Meetings, and Minutes page of the city's website. This meeting is for information and discussion purposes only, and no decisions will be made here this evening. Council will make a decision on these matters at the regular council meeting to be held this Thursday. If you wish to address council at that meeting, you must submit a delegation form to the city clerk no later than 12 noon tomorrow. A delegation form is available on the city's website. If an application is denied, only the applicant or the minister may file an appeal with the Ontario Land Tribunal within 20 days of issuance of the notice of council's decision. Only specified persons, public bodies, registered owners of land to which the plan may apply, the requester to amend the plan, and the minister may appeal the decision of the City of Woodstock to the Ontario Land Tribunal within 20 days of the issuance of the notice of council's decision. Excluding the minister, any party wishing to make an appeal must make written or oral submission to council at a public meeting. Please note that third parties, anyone who is not a specified person or public body, do not have the right to appeal a decision for an official plan amendment to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Please keep your comments to planning matters only and avoid repeating comments that have already been expressed. If you have not provided oral or written comments, but you wish to receive formal notice of council's decision on the matter, please contact the clerk's office. The notice will provide further information on appealing the decision. The planner will be asked to present the planning report for each application. The applicant will then be able to provide an opportunity to make comments, followed by anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application, followed by those who wish to speak in opposition to the application. So prior to proceeding with our first application, does anyone wish to declare a pecuniary interest on any applications this evening? Seeing none, then let's get to our first application, SB 24-04-8 and ZN 8-24-21 applications for official plan amendment and zone change for 10002286651 Ontario Inc. Mr. Miller, the floor is yours.
Good evening, council staff and the applicant. Application SB 24048 and ZN 82421, the name of 10002286651 Ontario Inc. The subject lands front onto the northwest corner of Devonshire Avenue and Oxford Road 4 and are legally known as Part Lot 13, Concession 2, Blandford, and are municipally known as 715181 Oxford Road 4 in the city of Woodstock. The subject lands are designated traditional industrial in the county's official plan and are currently zoned future development. The zoning bylaw portion of the application seeks to rezone the subject lands to special general industrial, which would be M3, and special general industrial with a holding provision. The purpose of the draft plan of subdivision is to create 17 industrial lots served by the extension of Springbank Avenue and one new local street. The subdivision is proposed in 2 phases as shown on the draft plan. The official plan's criteria for evaluating applications for plans of subdivision include suitable provision for roads, water, storm and sanitary sewers, and other matters. This application does contain water and sanitary constraints where a portion of the subdivision must be served by infrastructure that has not yet been constructed to the north. As such, to comply with the official plan provisions, a holding provision is required to be placed on the northern lands of the subdivision. The plan of subdivision appears to comply with all other subdivision policies. The purpose of the proposed zone change application is to rezone the subject lands from future development to special general industrial and special general industrial holding. The special provision requests a reduction in the minimum front yard and exterior side yard width from 27 meters to 10 meters and the elimination of the setback from the center line of Devonshire Avenue, which has the same approximate effect as the minimum yard depths. For most streets, not including Devonshire Avenue or Oxford Road 4, the minimum front yard and exterior yard depths are 15 meters in the M3 zone. These streets were provided with exceptionally wide front and exterior side yard widths to ensure that adequate space is provided for landscaping and buffers. The applicant's plan and justification has provided a cross-section of a right-of-way to demonstrate how they intend to provide appropriate landscaping and emphasizes that this can be further addressed through site plan control. Additionally, encouraging buildings to be built closer to the road means that parking can be provided and encouraged in other locations on the lots, as parking is permitted in all yards for industrial uses. Further, a majority of the lands on the south side of Devonshire Avenue adjacent to the subject lands are designated service commercial, where the minimum front and exterior side yard setbacks range from 7.5 meters to 12 meters. City building and engineering staff did not raise any concerns with the proposed special provisions. The M3 zone also has special height provisions that ensure that very tall buildings are set further back than specified in the yard provisions. The M3 zone requires that any building that exceeds 15 meters must be set back half a meter for each meter above 15 meters, in addition to the minimum requirements of the bylaw. These provisions will assist to ensure that taller buildings continue to maintain appropriate setbacks to the front and exterior side yards. The applicants have also identified a very small portion of the subject lands in the northeast corner of the property that are to be zoned open space 2. This provision has not been identified in this report, but will be identified in the report to County Council and will be contained in the final zoning bylaw presented to Council. The applicants intend to further highlight the extent of this area in their presentation tonight. This office is of the opinion that the proposed development of the lands as proposed via the draft plan of subdivision discussed in this report is generally considered to be appropriate and in keeping with the relevant policies of the PPS and official plan, and will be appropriately implemented through the conditions of the draft plan approval and zoning measures recommended in this report. As such, staff recommend that the city of Woodstock approve in principle the zone change for the application, and further that the city council of Woodstock advise county council that it supports the application for the draft plan of subdivision that's been with this application. The conditions that we've proposed with the plan of subdivision are attached in the report. There's 50 of them. The portion in the northeast corner that I was talking about that has been missed there, it's pretty negligible. So if you can see to the north of the actual subject lands on the plate 3 there, there's a water course or ditch that goes through the property. So just a portion of that will need to be rezoned to OS2.
Thank you. Are there questions from council for the planner? Councillor Schadenberg.
Yeah, from the chair through to Mr. Miller, just I guess it may be a simple question. The existing road down that serves Cowan Fields that has parking and whatnot, and it kind of ends at a sort of a cul-de-sac beyond the second ball diamond. Will that be a road that will not be able to be used by this development for any reasons whatsoever?
Through the chair, the city is still working out those details. I believe they're still in the design phase. So those are not details that I have or that I can talk about in any meaningful way at this point.
If I may follow up then, would that be a part of site plan or prior to that?
So the road that connects to the north, is that what we're talking about? Should be through site plan, or?
I think Councillor Schadenberg is asking about the off of Devonshire up. Would access to the property be addressed through site plan control, or would it be off Oxford Road 4 and north up through into, I believe that's Springbank?
So that access could be controlled through site plan control. It could also be controlled through, it could be a location, I don't know if it is, where the city would require 1 foot reserve so that industrial lots don't have access through that. But it's definitely it's something that the city will look into through their access bylaws.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to point out that the subdivision in question will be serviced and accessed only from the proposed streets within the plan of subdivision. If that answers your question, Mr. Counselor.
Thank you. Any other questions for the planner? I'm not seeing any. Thank you very much. Is the applicant here, and would you like to address council? And if you could state your name and address for the record before you begin.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Andrea Sinclair. I'm here with MHBC Planning in support of staff's recommendation. I'll try not to repeat too much of what Mr. Miller's already gone over, but just maybe I'll just pick up on that last question. When we first went in for pre-submission and met with staff. We actually did have a version of the draft plan that had a road connection into the Cowan Fields, because the original Woodstock secondary plan did show that, and it was determined fairly early on that was the preference to not have that road connection, so it was removed. So it is not intended that we're going to connect into those to Cowan Fields. Oops. There we go. Okay, so I don't think I need to repeat too much about the context. The only thing I wanted to just point out is, as noted by Mr. Miller, there is an industrial subdivision located to the north that's been already approved. I believe it was approved in 2023. It includes a stormwater management facility that would service the north half of these lands as well. So as noted, there's a holding provision in place because that servicing is not yet available, but there is a portion of the lands that I'll show later that can proceed as is. So in terms of policy context, the lands are already designated for industrial development. No official plan amendment was required. But when the lands were brought in, they had the future development zone, which is really a placeholder zone until an application comes forward. The road network is generally in keeping with the collector road network that's contained within the county official plan. In terms of the zoning, as I mentioned, it's already a future development zone. Mr. Miller's already gone over the site specifics that we've asked for, so I'm not going to repeat that, but just to say that it would permit the full range of sort of general industrial uses, and each individual lot within the subdivision will still have to go through the site plan approval process, and that's when we'll look at things like parking and landscaping and building design. And I'll just point out on the draft plan, and you can sort of make out the hatched line that denotes the phasing. So this, everything south of that line, that's the phase one. And those lots can all be serviced with existing servicing infrastructure located to the south. So that would be sort of the first step, and those lots that would be more readily available. The turning circle shown here would be a temporary turning circle until such time as the rest of the lands can come online. And as noted, they're subject to a holding provision, so they cannot develop until that hold is lifted, which would be to the discretion of council at a later date. And then just wanted to provide, wasn't sure how familiar with 214 Carson Council may be, but they have developed locally within Oxford County and Woodstock, but are really known for sort of higher quality industrial type development. So they're excited to be bringing sort of high quality product and high quality buildings to the Woodstock area, and will be working with staff through site plan to make sure this neighborhood, or used to say neighborhood, but this industrial neighborhood develops in a way that really provides an improved condition along Devonshire and County Road 4. So again, I don't want to repeat some of the detail that's already been discussed, but I'm here to answer any questions. This is just overview of all the supporting reports that were done in support of this. We've been working collaboratively with staff at the city and the county, understand all of the conditions and the recommendations ahead of council, and here really just to answer any questions. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, several of us toured a 214 development just last week at their grand
Great.
opening. So, and I know the rest of council will be going shortly. Any questions for Ms. Sinclair on this application? Councillor Schadenberg.
Yeah, a question from the chair through to Ms. St. Clair. In your experience as a planner, and you know you've been out for a long time with MHPC, do you think it makes sense to have a Springbank connect twice to Devonshire? I mean, serious, just for your background, it's sort of say it's an odd precedent to sort of say Springbank is whatever that would be, about a kilometer further west, and all of a sudden Springbank appears again. And I'm just thinking not only for people maybe looking for a ball diamond, or just people looking for a commercial building, and all of a sudden, oh, that's the other Springbank. Just want your experience background to answer that question.
Sure, and through you, Madam Chair. So I would say it ranges. I always think in Kitchener-Waterloo of the example of King Street and Weber that cross each other 3 separate times, and it is incredibly confusing. And that's an extreme example. We often, sometimes it's once it crosses through an intersection, the name changes. So it's shown as Springbank through all of the county official plan and everything. It ultimately really is up to the county and the city on naming of the roads, but it's certainly something when we get into registering the subdivision that we can talk to. I think it probably wouldn't be our call. It would be, I guess, the county's call or the city, whoever ends up ultimately owning the road, on whether or not it makes sense to possibly change it to a different name. But I believe in the subdivision to the north, it was approved as Springbank through their subdivision, so it's potentially too late, but it is, I'd say, slightly unusual, but not completely unheard of. And it may cause some confusion down the road, but I think it seems it would be sort of unusual to change it at the property line if it's already been approved as Springbank to the north. That being said, it's not built and it's not registered, so there may still be an opportunity to look at that. So we can take that discussion back with county and city staff.
Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, a follow-up and non-related question. Has this property always been used for agriculture? I know at the corner there, and that's probably the other one that's boxed off, used to be a farm implements dealership, but that's not part of your property that
Correct.
person's got.
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, the farm implement dealership is not part of this property. To my knowledge, it's been a farm for pretty much the entire time.
Any other questions from council? I'm not seeing any.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the application or online? I'm not seeing any. Is there anyone here who is opposed to the application that would like to speak to that? I'm not seeing any. That was our only application tonight, and so this completes our business for this evening. A decision on this item will be made at the council meeting on Thursday evening, and I will now call the meeting adjourned at 7:17. Thank you all.